I think we're live, Matt.
Awesome. It's great to see everybody here. We already got tons of people over in the chat over there.
Yes, I just want to make sure I'm all set up here. All right, let's see. People are already commenting where they're coming or where they're tuning in from. Let me see. We have Idaho, Mexico, South Carolina, Michigan, Texas, Canada, Oregon, Georgia. I love when everyone comments where they're from without us even having to ask. It's so exciting.
Yeah. If you haven't yet, put yours over there. We can see where you're from. It's really neat. We've got so many people joining us today.
We have Virginia. There we go. Okay. I think I'm all set now. I just had to make sure that everything was good on the YouTube side there. Idaho, New Mexico, Toronto. Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining today. We are going to start in about 1 minute. Everyone's telling us where they're coming from, which is so fun to see.
There's Ireland.
Awesome.
Welcome from Ireland.
Very cool. I feel like we have a lot of Iowa here, and it says we're having a blizzard in Iowa. I feel like watching our webinar is a great blizzard activity. I've never been in a blizzard, but I think it would be fun to sit home and watch our webinar in the middle of the storm. San Diego.
It's probably fun for the first few minutes, and then after that, not so fun.
Shovel the snow. It's probably not very fun. Okay, awesome. Oh, someone said we're having a little bit of lag. Buffering issues. I was just about to get us started, but we want to make sure that this is probably worked out before we jump in. Are you seeing the buffering on your end, Matt?
Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit of that.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what's causing that. We're trying to do what we can on our end to try to fix that for you guys. I think if you pause it, it might help it catch up a little bit.
Greg says, glad I'm not the only one suffering from buffering. I don't know if that was intentional, but I appreciate the rhyming. Okay, well, Matt, maybe we should get started with a prayer and we can pray that this buffering clears up.
Yes, let's do that. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for all these amazing leaders of your church that you've brought together today, who all are concerned and care about reaching more of their flock, especially at this really challenging time in our history, where people are feeling so disconnected and cut off from their faith, from their communities, in so many different ways. So we pray that you would give us your wisdom and courage to lead during this time, to make wise decisions, and to find creative and innovative ways to reach and engage our people so that we can make sure that they understand the importance of your sacraments and all that you offer us through your church, Lord. We ask you to bless the technology and the buffering and help all of this to work smoothly today so that we can share this great opportunity with all the many people here today. We ask you to bless each of them in their ministries. We thank you we're so grateful for their many sacrifices and efforts they put in to serve your flock and serve at their parishes and dioceses around the country and the world. All these things we ask in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. All right. I think we are ready to get started. I just clicked over and saw more buffering, but I think we're probably good now. So we're going to dive in. We apologize if you're experiencing the buffering. We are going to be sending out the recording afterwards. So hopefully you can go back and see anything that might have been spotty for you. We apologize for that. But welcome everyone to today's webinar. We're so excited that you're all here. My name is Liz Linares, and I am a happiness engineer here at Flocknote. And with me is Matthew Warner, the founder of Flocknote. We also have Uno with us. You may or may not know Uno, but Uno is the lost sheep from Luke 15 that we're supposed to leave the 99 to go after. And Uno is our mascot here at Flocknote, and it's why we're on a passionate mission to build a more connected church. So like I said, we're so excited that you're here today. This is hands down our biggest webinar ever. We have had so many people sign up for this webinar. It's clear that there's a need, a frustration that parish leaders are feeling, that's relevant to this topic. We have had over 10,000, I think now we're actually up to about 12,000 people from around the world sign up for this webinar over the past couple weeks. So we're really excited and grateful that we get to share with you all today. So we want to teach you more about the 82% in Catholic parishes, who they are and how to reach them. And just as a clarifying point here, just kind of baseline here, this is a partnership of Flocknote and Word on Fire. So Flocknote is a leading church communication software that allows you to send emails and text messages to your parishioners. And we've partnered with Word on Fire to bring you Engage, which allows you to send exclusive content from Word on Fire to your parishioners via email and text message. All right, so I know that was kind of a lot of info really quickly, but here's just a quick overview of what we'll be discussing today. We're going to talk about who the 82% is. We keep talking about this 82% and throwing that number around. So we're going to talk about who they are, why we want to draw in the 82%, how we draw in the 82%, and then we'll finish with a live Q&A. Just a couple housekeeping items. Like I said, this webinar will be recorded and we will be sending that out later. So if you registered via our landing page, we will be sending that recording out later. There are a lot of people here and there are a lot of great questions that are coming in. So we have some of our wonderful team members on the back end answering those questions throughout the webinar today. So you can drop any questions there. We're going to finish, like I said, with that live Q&A where we'll address more of your questions and hopefully get answers to some of those frequently asked questions that you have. We may not get to every single question just because there are so many of you, but please bear with us as we try to get to as many as we can. And finally, if you're not a leader at your parish, please share Engage with them and pass along the webinar recording later today. We've also had parishioners very graciously donate Engage to their parish. So if you like what you see today, and if you're in a position to be able to do this, we encourage you to prayerfully consider maybe donating Engage to your parish. All right, so we're about to get started, get into the meat of this, but before we begin, we want to start with a question, so you can drop a response in that comment thread. The question is, what do you find is the most challenging hurdle to engage your parishioners? Maybe it's not knowing what to say or when to say it. Maybe you're afraid of saying the wrong thing or you're afraid of offending somebody. Maybe you want to make sure what you're sharing is relevant. Perhaps the biggest hurdle is getting your parishioners to respond to you and to open up, or maybe the biggest hurdle is getting a hold of them directly in the first place. We want to know what your most challenging hurdle is with your experience. We're going to read some of those out loud as they come in. Oh, and as a side note, I'm seeing a lot of people saying the buffering has gone away. So yeah. Praise God.
And one person said it, they tried reloading the browser or restarting the video, made the buffering go away. So you might try that if you're continuing to have issues. But yeah, so let's we'll watch your response to the question there come in. Liz mentioned a lot of the common ones, people having struggles reaching their people, getting them to open emails in the first place, gathering contact info, figuring out, let's see, they're starting to roll in now. Figuring out what to say to people to get them to respond. There's this sort of indifference from a lot of parishioners that just don't seem to respond to the things we think they should respond to that we find really exciting and that are such treasures of our faith that we want to share with so many people, but they just don't, they seem so indifferent or lukewarm to it all. Let's see, what else? You seen any more come in, Liz?
I haven't. I'm wondering if there's a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, I think the delay does cause some of that.
Yes, and again, thank you everyone for bearing with us. This is a new webinar platform for us to accommodate the amazing interest. So yes, thank you for bearing with us.
Very quickly, with how many people signed up, we very quickly outgrew GoToWebinar and had to switch to this setup. So We're getting there. But anyway, we appreciate you sharing all that over there. Continue to drop in those things there. It really helps us see those throughout the webinar. I think we're going to address a lot of those concerns throughout the webinar today. So with
Yes,
that, Liz,
definitely.
let's jump in.
Let's dive in. Yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Matt.
Great. So Liz asked me if I wanted any, nice looking slides or anything like that, but I was like, why do I need slides when I have my handy dandy whiteboard here? So we're going to go old school today and use this to illustrate, I think, something that, we've been working over 10 years now with thousands of parishes and dioceses around the country and the world to help reach people they had trouble reaching. And I think one of the things at the heart of why a lot of parish leaders struggle to connect with and engage most of their parishioners is that they fail to understand what we're now calling the 82%. So we want this to become part of the vernacular at your parish, that everybody, when you talk as a staff, will understand what we mean when we say like this. So here's what we mean. So I'm going to just do a little illustration here. If this is, say, everyone in your parish, we have over here what we call the 7%. Okay, now, many of you may have heard of the 7% before. The 7% are taken from the Dynamic Catholic Study, which if you haven't read that book, it's a really great book that all parish leaders should read, but 4 Signs of a Dynamic Catholic. But in that, they did this huge study of parishes. So this is an average parish across the country, that 7% of the people are what they would call dynamic Catholics or engaged Catholics that are sort of fully involved in the parish in a way that we think hopefully everyone could be or should be. But this means 7%. Here's what the stats broke down as: 7% of your parishioners give almost all of the money and almost all of the volunteering time. Okay, so around 90% of the giving and volunteering comes from 7% of your people. So 7%, let's call them already engaged. Okay, so 7% are already engaged. Now on the other end, now this is all data grabbed from different grabbed this from different Pew Research studies, CARA studies that look at mass attendance in these different ways. Okay, so on this end you actually have 11%. So 11% of your parishioners actually never ever show up. They never show up. So these are people that actually still identify as Catholic. So there's actually a whole other group outside over here that are now what Bishop Barron calls the nuns now, the people who have a religious affiliation of none, N-O-N-E-S, none, that have actually fully left the church. So if you ask them if they're Catholic, they would say, no, I'm no longer Catholic. Even though they may have been baptized and raised in the faith, they are no longer associate themselves with the Catholic Church. But there are actually 11% of Catholics that are still identify as Catholic, but never show up. So they haven't showed up in years. They don't attend Mass ever, not even on Christmas, Easter, any of that kind of stuff. But then, so in between these two, you have the 82%. So the 82% in general sometimes show up. Okay, so they sometimes show up. Now, actually, if you're familiar with the studies, 21% actually show up every week. 21% of Catholics show up faithfully every single week to Mass. Now, this is all pre-COVID, of course. But only 7% out of those 21% actually do most of the giving, most of the donating, most of the volunteering, right? So of the 82%, some of them actually do show up every week, but the vast majority of them show up sometimes. So the 82%, they're there, some are there weekly, but most of them are there maybe once a month, every couple of weeks. Maybe it's just Christmas and Easter. So there's a broad spectrum in here as well, but it's helpful to characterize it in these groups. And I'll tell you why. But one of the important things, of course, to note about the 82% is that they are right now drifting out of your parish. So the 82% in a huge way are slowly drifting out of the parish. So 6 are leaving for every 1 that joins the parish. So this is a big crisis, of course, and many of us were familiar with this crisis before COVID hit. But now that COVID hit and we have all of these lockdowns and restrictions, it all of a sudden brought to light just how connected were all these 82% to your parish. because a lot of them, as they've had opportunities in different places to start coming back to Mass, start coming back to the sacraments, have not come back. And so it's becoming very apparent that many of these may not come back at all. They've maybe broken the habit now. They've filled Sunday morning, something else to do on Sunday morning. And we're not sure. They are obviously not sensitive to the Sunday obligation before it was relaxed when COVID hit. And so reinstituting the Sunday obligation obviously is not going to have any kind of significant event or significant impact on most of these people. And so it's really fast forwarded the crisis in a real sense, to where a lot of the people that may have been slowly drifting out may have all of a sudden just sort of been shoved out. And so how do we figure out how to talk to them and engage them? And again, one of the things we repeatedly see at parishes is that they are great at reaching the 7%, but are really struggle to reach and engage the 82%, to get them to show some sort of interest in their faith and the value that you provide at the parish, the sacraments, and your community there. So why is that? Why do parishes continue to fail at this? Well, here's sort of I think the main fundamental reason. So like basically most all the things that we do as a parish to either communicate with them or engage with our parishioners, like let's say social media, things like maybe a parish app, on-demand like content libraries, right? Like, like a Catholic Netflix or, something like that, right? Study programs. So most of the study programs that we implement, here's the trouble. Those are almost all things that, as the 7%, and let's be honest, most of us here on this call are part of the 7%. We are fully engaged in our parish. We understand the value of it. We love our faith, and we really want to share it with others. So all these things that we like and that really engage us and we find really interesting, unfortunately, mostly only end up reaching the 7%. And so even with these communication channels, who's going to go to the trouble of follow you on social media? The 7%, not the 82%. Who's going to bother to download your app? The 7%, not the 82%. They generally do not bother to jump through the hoops of downloading your app and connecting you that way. Who bothers to, when you set up something like, on-demand content, and here's a code you got to put in, and you can go watch all these beautiful, amazing, which I love them, Catholic movies, study programs, series, all that kind of stuff. But who bothers to do that? The 7%, not the 82%. Most of our study programs and the things that we, that are just sort of highly intense, studies of the faith in different ways, mostly just the 7% that participate, not the 82%. And so we got to get out of this bubble that we have here of making decisions for and by the 7%. And it's natural, it's human. This is the lens that we see the world through, because we are the 7%. But also, like, almost all the complaints we get are from the 7%. So almost the feedback loop we have built up in our parishes and dioceses are typically this bubble of the 7%. Who's giving most of the money? The 7%. So who has most of the influence on what we do? The 7%. And so we have to find ways to really break out of this bubble. So how do we reach the 82%? And that's what we've been working on for many years here now. And there's two parts I want to talk about today. The first is you have to be able to communicate with them, right? That's step one. How do we just talk to them in the first place? Because these channels don't work. They don't read the bulletin. They're not going to follow us on social media. They're not going to download our app. If we want to communicate with the 82%, we got to do something different. And two, once we can communicate with them, what do we say to them? How do we engage them? What do we do? What can we do or say that will get them to, have some interest and turn around, and instead of drifting out, say, maybe I want to take a step closer in to our parish. Okay. So step 1 and 2. Now, number 1, communication. This is the problem that Flocknote's been working on, like I said, for over a decade now, of how do we really reach most of the people at a parish? And we learned early on that these kinds of like closed social networks, social media, apps, anything that has multiple steps to connect, or that they have to create an account for to log in, any of that kind of stuff will only engage the 7%. And so that's why we focus so much at Flocknote on emailing and text messaging, because these are the absolute best ways to directly reach the 82%. There is no other channels that are as effective as those channels. And so we built from the foundationally built everything we do to start with this connection of how you can directly reach them. And email and texting will reach 10 times as many people as any of these other channels that you might choose in your parish. So when you think about how much time you're spending communicating, think about that. Are you putting enough into your email and texting and your capabilities of helping every parish ministry be able to do that and build your list for your whole parish and diocese, therefore, as well, to be able to directly reach people? Email and texting are also really important because they're platform independent. So we've seen a lot of this on a lot of technical platforms these days, is of course different levels of censorship. So you have at some point different platforms actually do consider just basic Catholic teaching to be hate speech. So at what point does that get censored? You also have other sorts of barriers that, Facebook is a great example. You have to pay now to be able to reach most of your people that have even bothered to like your page in the first place. And so they put up their own barriers now to keep you from getting to your people. But whether it's an app store or a particular platform, what we need as a church is to make sure we can directly reach people no matter what happens, especially in emergencies, especially when things get locked down. And so email and texting are perfect for that, because you can take an email address or a cell phone number and you can use that in any other platform. So you're going to pick a platform to use, and Flocknote that's what we do, is we provide that. But you can take that information and use it anywhere. And so it's platform independent in that sense. And it allows you to reach your people on a personal level directly anytime you need to. So really, really important. Another barrier that often comes with, we put into the communication challenge here is, if you send someone a piece of content and said, hey, this is going to change your life, you should watch this, it's really great, but they have to create a login to be able to access it. They have to take a code and go put it in order to be able to go watch it. The 82% won't watch it. They just won't. Most of them won't. And so it's that barrier to use you have to lower. And that was one of the things we actually designed uniquely with Word on Fire Engage, was that you can buy premium content that would otherwise cost your parishioners lots of money to get access to from Word on Fire. But you can now purchase it for them, but when you send it to them, they click it and it starts playing. Whether it's a text message or an email that you send out, they immediately get to start watching it without having to create an account, without having to remember a code, any of that kind of stuff. So the communication part, that's really important. If you want to get content to the 82% and have them actually consume it so that it can possibly change them, you have to have those barriers taken care of. You have to use the right channels. The second part is what we're really excited. Well, one other thing on one too, because one of the problems a lot of people are saying is, well, how do we get people's email addresses in the first place? How do we get their cell phone numbers in the first place? And again, that's something we actually designed into Flocknote to help you gather information really, really quickly. So you can set up a keyword, people text it in. So after Mass on Sunday, you can have them text in your own keyword. It immediately captures their cell phone number for you, and then it asks them for their email address and name. So it captures their two most important pieces of information in about 30 seconds. Then it actually shows them all your ministries, and they can subscribe to get updates from those all at the click of a button. And so it's like a little Ministry Sunday in about 2 minutes, where you get everybody's contact info and you get them plugged in. And additionally, Flocknote helps you gather contacts you already have. So you'd be surprised at a lot of parishes, you have more contacts than you think. It's just they're spread out in all different places and from different events, from different ministries, from different people's phones or computers, spreadsheets in different places. But we help you gather all that together and import it in and have it all in one place, and then start building on top of it from there. So that's really, really important. If you can't do those things, then you'll never get to use any of this other stuff. You won't have a chance to say anything to those people anyways. So that's step one. You got to have that solved. The second part then is what we're really excited to team up with Word on Fire about, because Word on Fire, as many of you know, Bishop Barron has been uniquely successful at creating content and teaching in a way that is really attractive to the culture, really attractive to people outside the church, and really attractive to people like the 82%. And so we're really excited to start taking a lot of that content and now even continuing to make even more customized content specifically for the 82%. So it's shorter types of videos. It's answering questions at a level that the 82% is going to find them interesting and engaging, not the 7%, which is using different language. It's approaching different topics at a different level first, meeting them where they're at, and be able to engage them in a way that they find relevant to their life right now and their relationship right now with the church. And so we've created, with Word on Fire, all of this content specifically for the 82%. And then again, made it so that you can actually get it to them in a really simple way, in a way that they'll actually open it and be able to have a chance to even consume that content and be changed by it. So I'm going to stop there for now and pass it over to Liz, because she's going to show you what all of this looks like. And but again, we really want, at your parish, at your staff meeting, everyone at your staff should know what you mean when you say the 82% or the 7%. I think it's really helpful, because whenever you come up with an idea, it's not like you're not going to do things that are for the 7%. That's important. They need to be nourished as well. But it's important when you say, the reason we keep thinking, well, why aren't we reaching these people? Well, it's because is that an idea that reaches the 7%, or is that an idea that reaches the 82%? Is that a tool that communicates with the 7%, or is that a tool that communicates with the 82%? Because I think we'll find that when we realize like what we were actually doing was all for the 7% and doing great, we shouldn't be surprised that we're not reaching the 82%. So we have to be more deliberate about that. And that can be part of the natural conversation you have as a staff as you make decisions about what tools you use, what channels you use, what kind of language you use, how you communicate, and what you decide to implement as a parish. So yeah, I'm going to jump over to Liz now, and she's going to actually walk you through what does all this look like. We're doing a free trial for Lent. So this is something every parish can do for free and try till after Easter. But take a look at what it looks like. We've designed this to be really simple, easy to get going, and our staff is all here ready to help you hold your hand through it if you need that, and make sure you get what you need in time for Lent starting here soon. Liz?
All right, thank you, Matt. So yes, we're ready to dive into the demo portion now. So right now I've logged into Flocknote, and what we're looking at is the dashboard. So this is what you'll see when you first log into Flocknote, and it serves as sort of a home base for your network. So during this webinar, we aren't going to get into a full overview of Flocknote at this point, but just a couple things I want to point out. So you'll see here on the left-hand side, we have some different groups listed, and these represent groups of people that you can send your communications to. So these are fully customizable. So for example, you can have a group for each ministry, you can have a staff group to communicate with your staff, and so on and so forth. And we see lots of parishes creating a group specifically for a Lenten study program, and that's a great way to send out content from Engage. So next, you'll see here at the top left, we have buttons to start an email or a text. So you're able to start from scratch with sending an email or a text message, and then supplementing that with a Word on Fire Engage video. Or you can click on this navy blue box that you see here, the library, where you can access pre-made content from Engage that you can send to your parishioners with just a few clicks. So during this demo, I'm going to show you how to do just that. So I'm going to click on the library, and when the library opens, you'll see we have lots of different content that you can choose here on the left. The library does have free built-in content that all Flocknote users can access, but this orange tag here that says premium shows us exclusive content that is accessible with Engage. So I'm just scrolling for a moment so you can get an idea of the type of content we have and just the amount. There's a ton here. Would probably take most of the webinar to scroll through all of this. But you'll see here at the top, we also have a search bar where you can search for content. So maybe you want to search for a saint or a liturgical season, it will show you that specific content. But what's really neat are these icons here. The majority of the library are these icons here. And this is what will be updated seasonally. So this is where we're really guiding you through what to send and when. So right now, the recommended content that you're seeing is all about Lent. But this will be changing seasonally, liturgically, will change to be seasonally and liturgically relevant and culturally relevant even. So all this content is created with that lukewarm parishioner, that 82% in mind. So it's not a big, super theologically deep devotion. Instead, these emails are simple, jam-packed with small, bite-sized nuggets of the faith, super quick and easy to read, and just really great for helping that 82% understand and go deeper with the faith. So I'm going to click on one of these. So for example, we have feast days from Engage, and we have a note for the Feast of St. Joseph and the Annunciation and St. Catherine of Siena. And we've even added the date there, so you know a good date to send this content out. You'll see when I click on one of these, I can preview the email. It has a beautiful header. It's all pre-made. You can see a preview of the video here. But I'm actually going to go back, and we are going to open one of these notes for Lent. So you'll see we have emails. These are recommended to send to everyone for Lent. So I'm going to select this note about confession, and I see the preview. I'm going to click the blue copy this note button in the upper right-hand corner. All right, so this opens the note in our note composer. Again, it's pre-made. I cannot emphasize enough how easy this is. We have a beautiful header image. We have a little blurb. Like I said, it's short, it's bite-sized. We have an examination of conscience by Word on Fire, which is amazing. If you think about it, the 7% probably has their favorite examination in their back pocket or their purse or slipped into their Bible, but the 82% might not even know what an examination of conscience is. So it tells you, here's a guide called Examination of Conscience. It tells you what it's for, and then they can click on that to access it. And then of course at the bottom, we have a wonderful video from Word on Fire from Bishop Barron about this sacrament. So just a really great, helpful, quick, easy to understand email. You could add the details of your penance services and send it off. It's super quick and easy. Or if you wanted to, we could personalize it and make it feel, more like it's coming from you specifically, or from, let's see, we can assign it from the priest, from the pastor, and then you can add your penance service times here. You can change the header image. All these emails have really beautiful images, but if you have a different one that you like, Father Joe, for example, could add a different examination of conscience if he had one that he liked especially, or he could replace this or add one. He could add any other commentary. You could change the background color. Maybe you're more of a yellow person. But as you can see, there's a lot of customization you can do here. So you can tailor it for your specific parishioners, for your parish, for your needs, or you can just send it off and it's super quick and easy and done for you. You can also add a group header, which will add the logo and church name at the top so that it's clear to your parishioners who it's coming from. And I mean, I could go into fully how to customize this note, but just for the purpose of this webinar, you can see how easy it is and how simple it is. Then you can schedule this email to go out at a future date and time, or you can send it right away. But when I click preview, it takes us here to the next page, and you can see how fantastic this is going to look on a desktop and on a mobile device. And then you can go ahead and send it out. So I know that was quick, a quick overview there, but I'm going to go show you a note that was opened previously. Now, this is not an Engage email. This is just another email that was sent out using Flocknote. But what I want to point out is that you have all of the comments here on the right-hand side of the note. So this makes it really easy for you or whoever's facilitating the specific conversation or email. They can go in, respond to everyone very quickly and easily, so you're able to ask your parishioners for their feedback. A lot of the Engage content has some really, again, simple but thought-provoking questions, and you can prompt them to respond with a comment and then have a conversation here, answer any questions that they might have, encourage them in their Lenten journey or whatever, whatever they're going through, if it's a Bible study or whatever it may be. We also have the note analytics here. So if you click on that green percentage bar in the upper right-hand corner, you're able to see who opened the note, and you can see which links were clicked, all that good stuff. So it helps you keep an eye on how your communications are doing for this group, and also kind of helps you gauge how your parishioners are receiving this content, if it's resonating with them, if they're opening it, and if they're looking at it. All right, I think that wraps up our demo. So we are ready to move into the Q&A portion, but first, really quick, we want to bring us back to kind of next steps for you and just chat about what that might look like. So we know, of course, Lent is a crucial time in the church. It's a really busy time, but because it's such a crucial time, a lot of people are coming back to Mass, maybe for the first time in a while, especially this year. We are offering Engage free for the entirety of Lent. So it's longer than the normal 30-day free trial for Engage. You get it for between now, whenever you add it to your network, through the end of Lent. So you can start that trial at flocknote.com/engage. And again, if you're not a leader at your parish or you're not in a decision-making position, please consider sharing this webinar with your pastor or staff or ministry leaders at your parish. We'll send out the link for the recording after this webinar. And again, if you feel called to do more, if you like what you're seeing and you think this would be fruitful at your parish, we encourage you to prayerfully consider maybe gifting Engage to your parish. And if you have any questions at all, you can always email our team at engage@flocknote.com. But that wraps up everything that we had for you so far. We have about 10 more minutes left.
I just wanted to remind everyone too, like that Lent is a really crucial time, as Liz was saying, particularly for the 82%, because again, one of the things that's distinctive about the 82% versus the 11% or 7%, but the 82% specifically are still showing up sometimes. And a lot of times those days are Ash Wednesday, even though it's not an obligation, they still do. It's Easter. And so those are coming up very soon. And one of the challenges you guys have talked about is how do we get contact info for people if they haven't given it to us before? Well, it's important to use those moments when they do show up to get that information. And so that's something we help you do, is that they do show up in person for something. You're inviting them, text this in, or here, take this form and go, or write down, however you want to get it. You can have them write down their email addresses. They can text it into a keyword. They can follow a link that we can give you that they can fill out later if you put it on a flyer for them when they come through the door. Of course, right now, depending on the restrictions and lockdowns going on, even if it's just them tuning into a live stream of your Sunday Mass or Ash Wednesday services or whatever it is, right there on the screen below the video should be put in your email address, put in your phone number, get connected so we can stay in touch with you. So use all of those touch points where they're still coming into contact with us, because they may not come back again till Christmas, or this might be the time they don't come back at all. So every time they show up in some way, whether that's virtually or in person, make sure we're taking the chance to get that contact info. That's something Flocknote is designed to help you do. And then you're in a position now to get them this kind of content. And remember, Liz just showed you like one example of the kind of content, but the idea is that you have this whole library of pre-made content, both text and emails, that you can peruse through and find stuff that's relevant for either everyone in your parish or one particular ministry in your parish, and be able to take that, edit it, click, send it, and start, and then monitoring the feedback and how well it's really connecting with people. So it's such a huge opportunity, and that's why we're so excited to make it free for you to try this Lent. We can help you grow that list. We can help you get that contact info you don't have yet, and we can help you start putting some of this content in front of people to hopefully get them more engaged again, to really spark that interest. And it's a good reminder, as many of you know, this is not evangelization by itself. This is kind of pre-evangelization in a real way. That evangelization is what happens with the one-on-one relationships that you start to build with these folks once you get the opportunity to. But the trouble is right now, they're not engaging, right? So they're not showing up and having any kind of interest in what we're doing. And so that's what this is trying to solve for us. It's not going to evangelize people by themselves, but what it can do, and we've seen it do this powerfully, is start to engage people so that now you can start those relationships or deepen those relationships with those people. And so it's really powerful at that. And that's where your expertise comes in as ministry leaders and parish leaders, is then taking it from there and being able to deepen and nourish those relationships and help people take a step, hopefully closer to your parish and not slowly drifting further out of it. But yeah, let's get some questions in before I run out of time.
Yeah, so Matt, I think a good one to start, a lot of people are asking now, is how much does this cost?
Of course, yes. How much does it cost? So like we said, it's free for Lent. Now, the way Engage works is it's an add-on to your Flocknote account. So again, this all kind of comes together. If you don't have a Flocknote account yet, you just create one for free when you start this. Now, Flocknote, if it gets at certain sizes, and you can see all the pricing for that on our website, there's a monthly fee for that, but it's pretty small comparatively. And again, you could use this just to try it for Lent. It doesn't cost hardly anything. But Engage itself, all the content is totally free till after Easter. If you start right now. And so again, that's why you get to try all this. You get full access. This isn't like a limited version of the real thing. You get full access to everything Word on Fire creates, all the content in there to be able to send out. Every parishioner gets access to all of that for free for Lent. But after that is when the price comes in. So it's either $197 a month or it's $1,970 per year. And so I know hearing those by itself, is that a good deal? Is that expensive? Is that cheap? I think once you realize how much you get for all of that, it's actually really, really cheap. Because you're getting with those prices, you're getting a continually updating library of premium Word on Fire content. So this is stuff that normally you'd have to go buy. It might cost you, that much money just to buy the set of DVDs, just one set, to be able to go and provide for a study group or share with people some other way. And then it's still limited to the DVDs. But for this, you're getting access to all of this new content that can be sent out at any time to all of your parishioners. And they all get, no matter how big your parish is, they all get access to it. Along with that, you're getting the ability to email and text it to them. You're getting all the pre-made content, but the emails and texts already designed for you. You're getting us helping guide you through the year, showing you that here's the feast days coming up. Here's some other culturally relevant emails in there. There's emails in there that riff off of New Year's resolutions or March Madness or different things happening in the culture that we try to use to engage them, but then slip in, here's why this is relevant to our faith in different ways. And so using the Word on Fire content to do that. So it's really great. And you'll get to see that when you explore around in there. In addition to all of that, if all of that's not enough, you actually still get, every parishioner gets full access to all the Word on Fire digital content themselves. So they can actually go to Word on Fire Digital. And again, that's more your 7% that are going to be willing to do that. But that's normally about $20 a month per person. Here you're getting that for every parishioner in your whole parish for that price, where they can go to Word on Fire Digital and access all the content they want at their leisure, outside of using Flocknote or anything else. So all of that is included in this price. And so it really works out to be something that, especially when you see it in the context of engaging more of these people, this is 82% of your people who aren't yet giving to the church. They're not donating anything to the church. They're not volunteering at all yet. If any of this helps spark their interest, gets them giving again, just the amount you'll get in the collection plate, the next Sunday from doing some of this stuff, it will pay for this all for the whole year, for your whole parish to be able to keep using. So when you start to think that way, you realize what an opportunity it is to be able to share this with so many people.
Awesome. I'm seeing a couple questions about Spanish content and the amount. So there is some Spanish content available currently, and we're working on adding more. I think eventually the goal is to have all the content available in English and Spanish one day. And then I also saw somebody ask if they can translate it themselves. So absolutely, if you're sending this out, you can, in the note composer, copy and paste the Spanish translation. So it can totally be adaptable in that way. I mean, you could do that with any other language that you wanted to. But yes, our team is working on adding more Spanish content and adding more content in general. This isn't something where we see ourselves, reaching some threshold of content and just stopping one day. The plan is to continually be adding content that is relevant culturally and liturgically and seasonally. So there are, I don't have a specific number. I think some of our team members would be able to answer this better, but there are, when you look at all the series and all the emails and texts in each one, hundreds of different things you can send, but that number is always going to be growing. Like I said, we're never going to stop adding content that's relevant. So I hope that helps answer those questions.
And we're already excited. Word on Fire has tons of stuff already planned this year, specifically for Engage, that they're producing, that we'll be rolling out. So again, that's why it's part of the subscription, is when you get in there every month, every season, you're going to see new content, new emails, newly produced, content really made for the 82% that's been, newly produced by Word on Fire. So we're really excited. We're really only just getting started from a content.
Yeah, and one more thing on that too. The free trial doesn't include just 5 or 6 series and that's it. It's the whole, you get to see everything. So I definitely recommend, if you want to see the range of content, to start the trial, and you can poke around and just see how much is there, because we're not hiding anything or holding anything back. When you get that trial that's free through Easter, you get everything that you would get if you were paying for it. Okay, awesome. I think we have time we can maybe do one more question. I have seen a couple, Matt, if you want to just clarify, I've seen at least 2 people say that they are using MailChimp and asking how Flocknote is different than that. So that might be a good one to wrap up with.
Sure. Yeah. So Flocknote essentially it does most everything that MailChimp does, but the parts that a parish leader, ministry leader uses. So it takes out a lot of the more advanced marketing, sort of complex things that really aren't typically useful for the average ministry leader. And so you get all the emailing capability. It still tracks your stats and does all those kind of things, sees your open rates and who clicked what links, and helps you, you can format things with your own images and videos and all that kind of stuff. But it's a simplified version. And why that's really important is that most ministry leaders get overwhelmed going in to use something like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And so they don't use it as often as they should, or it ends up being just sort of one person at the parish who uses this to send out stuff to everybody. And what really helps you build a healthy communication channels at your parish is having all your ministry leaders able to use the same tool. And so doing that means you got to have something that even the least tech savvy, leaders will be comfortable using and enjoy. And that's what we've, I think, successfully created at Flocknote. It's one of the huge points, selling points for parishes. And so getting that wide adoption rate builds your list way more effectively, also gives you one central point that all your ministries, all of your parishioners can plug into any ministry and adjust their communication settings accordingly. So that's the email part of it. But on top of that, you throw into it that it includes text messaging, which text messaging, I mean, it's so powerful today to be able to get people to show up, to remind people the night before, to get quick responses from people, especially with lockdowns, blizzards hitting, in Iowa, wherever, to be able to blast out a text message and have almost everybody get it within a few minutes is so powerful. So the open rates on a text message are somewhere around 99%. The average open rate for an email is somewhere around 35%. So you can see the power of a text message there. So those two things combined, the simplicity of the emailing, along with its power, how powerful it is, along with texting. But then even on top of that, you have all of our customer service, which we work with parishes all day long. That's what we help them do, is do what you do. And then all the content we have in there. So along with Word on Fire Engage, we have other types of content for normal communications that parishes need and use regularly, built in, pre-made for you to grab, edit, do what you want with. So we have a lot of people who switch over from MailChimp and Constant Contact and never go back. They love it. So we're happy to help you through that if you need it. Any other questions we need to answer real quick? Yeah.
Well, one other thing, the difference between MailChimp and Flocknote is that Flocknote is safe environment compliant, which is of course a huge benefit for parishes. Yeah. But I think, Matt, I know you asked about any other questions. I think our team has been answering a lot of those that have come in. So I think we're set. Some people are asking, how does this work if you already have a Flocknote network? You can go to your dashboard and you'll see on your dashboard a place where you can start the trial. And even if you already have Flocknote, you can use the Word on Fire Engage trial for free. And you can also go to flocknote.com/engage to start that.
Yeah, but if it's not showing up on your dashboard yet, go to flocknote.com/engage, which is on the screen there, and click the link from there, and that'll make it show up. You can add it from there. It'll make it show up in your network from there. So that way you can start the free trial. And if you have any trouble, just email us. Email us at help@flocknote.com anytime. And or if you're interested specifically engage at flocknote.com, and we'll be back with you very, very quickly.
Yes, we do get back to emails very quickly, so we're always happy to hear from you. But we are about a little bit over our 45 minutes. We want to make sure that we respect your time. We know a lot of you are very busy, so thank you everyone for attending today and for staying until the end and for sticking with us through some buffering issues at the beginning. But now you can start your Engage trial at flocknote.com/engage and use it free through Lent. And again, this isn't some light version of Engage. You get the full experience. And if you have any questions, you can send us an email, help@flocknote.com or engage@flocknote.com, and our team will get back to you very quickly. But we look forward to hearing from you and working with you, and hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless.
Thanks, everyone.